You know what my favorite thing is?
What?
I love it when rich people talk down to me about work ethic.
Okay.
It makes me feel like, okay, so like if I'm a working class person, right? I'm working for somebody that's making 6 figures, maybe more a year. And they just tell me what's wrong with my work ethic as if I'm not the one working harder than them. That makes me feel really good about myself.
Yeah, because it inspires me.
Right.
Because I see that they worked really hard to get where they got.
Right.
And because they're telling me to work harder, I know that all I have to do is just simply work harder.
Right. Like if I'm working at Amazon, I understand that Jeff Bezos is working 300,000 times harder than I am.
Yeah.
I'm just not working hard enough. I just haven't put in the time.
No, facts, yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if I was like born in like Libya.
Not at
abject
all.
poverty.
Not at all.
It doesn't matter
No,
if I'm not working hard enough.
You guys, you silly little stupid fucking thick-skulled leftists.
Exactly.
Got it in your idea that like, oh my god, work hard. That's very broad. It's not broad. It's very narrow. Just do it harder. Just do it better.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you just actually grabbed your bootstraps and pulled them for once,
you could pull yourself
for
up.
once in your pathetic little life. Maybe you would actually get something done.
Honestly.
And that was the message that Kim Kardashian was spreading last week.
On International Women's Day.
On International Women's Day. She said that women just need to work harder. No one's willing to work anymore.
Exactly. You got to get in the office and you got to work. And paired with that statement, she said, no toxic work environments, which...
questionable.
That's very questionable coming from the billionaire work harder lady who has been notorious for toxic work environments.
Yeah, bro. I love just being told to work harder from someone that was literally given everything and didn't have to work for anything.
No, literally. And like we don't have like beef with Kim K.
Not at all.
It's just so fucking out of touch.
Like I support your struggle against Kanye. That's a rough situation, He's acting kind of out of pocket.
Yeah.
I do not support his actions, but also like stop telling working class people to work harder.
Literally.
Just because you have billions of dollars. Like shut the fuck up. So disrespectful. So absolutely out of pocket.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back to the show.
We got a big show today.
You know what we're talking about today? We got to talk about Russia, Ukraine, our weekly update on Russia and Ukraine, our favorite geopolitical conflict. And then we have a extensive section on new legislation that's popped up, legislation that's passed, primarily in Florida.
Legislation that's dropping.
Yeah, it's going to be really juicy since it's coming out of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And it's supported by our favorite governor.
We got Florida and we got Missouri.
True.
Crazy.
Florida, Missouri.
Little curveball there with Missouri.
But before we actually get into the show, I got to remind you all, check out the Patreon, check out the YouTube, the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're always popping off.
Speaking of that, I really appreciated how after we bullied you guys into following the Instagram last week, a lot of you actually did.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get out here and say I appreciate that.
It's just another reminder that bullying works. And you have reinforced our behavior so that we will now do it again.
Exactly.
We are simple-minded creatures. If we get rewarded for doing something, we're going to keep doing it.
Motherfucking Pavlov's dog, but not D-O-G, D-A-W-G. I'm Pavlov's dog.
There you go. But anyways, before we get into the episode, we got to remind you all to leave a 5-star review on Apple. Really helps out the show. And we got some to read today.
Facts.
Some
like
5-star reviews from some of our closest supporters. I love these people.
I noticed, speaking of, before we get into the excellent 5-star reviews, I noticed when I was checking for reviews that somebody dropped a fucking 3-star, but didn't leave a review. What's up with that?
Hey, bro, tell us what we're doing wrong.
What's going on?
Where'd our 2 stars go?
Yeah.
Where'd our 2 stars
go?
What could we have done to warrant 3 stars and lose the extra 2?
If you're still listening,
that's basically saying we're like mid in the office. That's not true.
That's not. No.
You either hate us or you love us. You got to pick a side. It's a dichotomy.
Facts.
A true dichotomy. Anyway, we got 4 reviews here. You want to take the first 2?
Yeah, I got it. All right, I appreciate you giving me the ones that are light on the reading.
I got you.
I can't read. This one says, "Bro," by Geneva Life 1. You guys give this older millennial hope. #bless Trey. What can I say?
I'm glad to know that as an older millennial, you didn't fall into the liberal crowd, because a lot of them did.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you didn't fall into the corny liberal crowd, because we're notorious for never being corny ever once in a while.
We're not corny.
I'm deathly afraid of being corny on Twitter, so...
I can't be cringy. I just can't. I can't do it.
I try so hard every day not to. The next one is Texas Commie approved by Synth City. They present the news in a way that many young people like myself can appreciate. They cover all the big issues. All the fellow comrades should give them a listen. I agree.
I agree.
Frankly,
I agree.
I just agree.
I hope you're doing all right in Texas.
Yeah,
being of your political persuasion.
Pretty
I hope
bad
you're not
out there.
Yeah, hope you're not struggling too hard. Next one is subject line, "Love this show" by Joel Bailey 2000. They say, "I love this show. They say exactly what I'm thinking. I love hearing someone talk about how both the right and the left in this country are too far right."
What can I say?
That's right.
What can I
and
say?
like half of leftist Twitter nowadays.
Oh my God, yeah.
Last review we have here, subject line, "Hilarious and extremely informative" by Lost Skeleton. They say, "This podcast leans left, but holds politicians on all sides of the aisle accountable with mocking and bullying at a level that may constitute a hate crime in some states."
What can I say?
I hope so.
What can I say? What Skip Bayless is to LeBron, I'm trying to be to like Joe Manchin.
Exactly.
You know, just a fucking hater.
Without the racial undertones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Carrying on here, "They do this while remaining incredibly informative and well read on today's political landscape. The hosts are clearly having fun. You can tell they really thought about and know their subjects and always have great takes on current events and politics. I look forward to every week to this podcast, and it's made me a much more interested and informed citizen and broadened my vocabulary." Thanks, gents.
Oh my goodness, what can I say?
We're out here broadening vocabularies. We're out here broadening vocabularies.
Insane.
That's kind of unacceptable. We should not have this kind of platform. Who gave us this
Somebody
power?
come take this shit away from us right now.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get right into the news. I think it's time for
right
news
into the
coverage.
war.
Dive right into war coverage. So this week, obviously the war still been happening, and it warrants another round of us covering the situation and going over bad takes.
Facts.
Because there's more.
You have to.
Whenever we are in some kind of political discourse, there's always bad takes to be found. I sniff them out.
There's always
a bloodhound
bad
for
takes
it.
to be had and people to be bullied.
Yeah, there's always takes to be found and make fun of. But anyway, since we last talked, Russia has gained more ground in Ukraine. It is making progress towards Kyiv, which is, again, Ukraine's capital. Yeah. I don't think, as of right now, Sunday, March 13th, they have taken any other major cities yet, but they're like surrounding Kyiv is what I saw last.
Yeah.
On Saturday, it was reported that Zelensky had said an estimated 1,300 Ukrainian troops have been killed since the start of the invasion, which is obviously a big spike since we last talked about this. And throughout the last week, there have apparently been talks between the Kremlin and Ukrainian leadership that have seemed to basically go nowhere. I remember hearing in the news that there was like talks of a ceasefire agreement, but then later on, Russian officials were like, actually, there was never going to be a ceasefire.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
And then that leads into the war crime news.
True. So in war crime news, Russia and Ukraine have attempted to set up, quote, humanitarian corridors for civilians to escape if they wish. And if you know anything about Russian imperialism throughout the last few decades, you'll know that humanitarian corridors don't exist for them. Not for us either.
Yeah, no, they really don't exist for any major world power, but...
Exactly. So what's so off about this? First, the corridors only lead out of Ukraine into Belarus or Russia. So if you're trying to escape to the west, you can't.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah. And then second, Russia kept shelling the corridors anyway, so it's not like it's actually safe. And a lot of civilians struggled to escape Mariupol, which is in the south of Ukraine. And also other cities in the east of Ukraine. A lot of citizens just couldn't get out. So these corridors aren't really doing anything.
Okay.
Because, you know, Russia likes war crimes and stuff like that.
So do we. Fair enough.
Russia has also, in more war crime news, taken to shelling more hospitals, schools, and orphanages. So, you know, that's great. And Ukrainian officials have also reported that bombs are just straight up hitting civilian houses now. So I love war. I love war.
Love war, love lean, you know?
You can quote us on that. We love war, and we're not being sarcastic. But let's talk about NATO.
Okay.
There's some goofy, silly news out of NATO this week.
Goofy, silly news? Let me hear it.
So NATO, this is a little bit of a story for you all. NATO was seeking to find more ways to supply military aid to Ukraine, right? As they have been. But they don't want it to be seen as an act of war.
Okay, so maybe they won't just call it lethal aid anymore.
Well,
it'll just be lethal aid.
Yeah, there you go. So because Russia has a superior air force to Ukraine, Zelensky's been asking for more planes. Like, we need help fighting the war in the skies. So the idea was to repurpose some old Soviet-era planes from NATO countries, like in Poland, to send them to Ukraine for use. But every NATO country is worried that directly flying planes into Ukraine for Ukrainian use is going to be seen as a crime, or like an act of aggression.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So Poland was like, all right, fine. You know, we're right here. We have a lot of old Soviet-era planes. We'll do it. We'll take care of the problem. And then everyone's like, all right, bet.
Sounds good.
The U.S. was like, all right, go for it. I remember seeing in the news that like the U.S. greenlit this operation. They're like, go for it, Poland. That's all you. And then Poland pulled a geopolitical Uno reverse card. And they actually sent their planes free of charge to U.S. bases in Germany. And then said, all right, the United States will take care of this.
You guys got it, right?
They said this is at the discretion of the U.S. military. And then the U.S. was like, all right, we're not doing this. Never mind. And they pulled out of the plan.
No, thank you. But talk about a fucking wild escalation. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit. That's a lot more than just like sending some aid packages, you know?
Yeah.
Just straight up sending planes, being this open about sending planes. What do they think Putin's just not going to hear about it?
Right.
Do they think this isn't going to get to the fucking Kremlin? It was all over fucking MSNBC that day. It was actually insane to watch the coverage when I tuned in. These motherfuckers, I swear to God, every interview that they would have with anybody, I swear it could be unrelated. They just start asking them. They just start drilling. So, like, what do you think about these, like, Poland plane situation? Don't you think that we should, like, step in? Don't you think that we should distribute them? You know what I mean? Isn't that crazy? Don't you think we should? Don't you think that we should do a little more?
Yeah.
Just banging the war drums aggressively.
And it shows me, because like apparently I saw in the news that the U.S. was just completely caught off guard by Poland's move to just be like, all right, you're gonna handle this now. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
It just shows me that the U.S. is losing their grip a little bit, maybe
a little bit,
losing their grip over the situation a little bit, which is probably making a lot of people in the U.S. State Department a little scared, a little bit trigger happy, maybe a little bit nervous.
For real, making the media very, very nervous.
Well, they always want war.
That's facts.
Give me war. That's what they've been saying. Anyway, I think it's time for us to get into some really bad takes on Russia and Ukraine.
Okay.
Because, we always have a round of bad takes on Russia and Ukraine anytime we talk about it.
You have to.
We absolutely have to. We absolutely have to. So the first one is just this general idea that Biden is causing gas prices to go up. Because gas prices have been skyrocketing throughout the last 2 weeks. It's been crazy. Mm-hmm. Like gas prices I saw in like California hitting like $6 and $7. In Michigan, it's like $4.50. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, and this is true of every single president, Biden doesn't control gas prices.
So true.
Surprise, surprise. And if he did take control of it, you would call that socialism.
Exactly. No, literally, yeah. Yeah. The like only real control that Biden has over gas prices in the short term, or any US president has over gas prices in the short term, is releasing strategic supplies of oil, which is what he did. Like that's what he did to mitigate the increase in price from literally cutting off all imports of Russian oil.
Yeah. Also, another thing to consider is that gas prices are skyrocketing now because there's literally a war happening in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that war, the aggressor of that war is Russia, which takes up like a massive amount of the surface area of the earth. So they're just going to like statistically have more oil than other countries do. And also, by the way, the people complaining the most about these gas prices or using them for a political agenda are the ones that wanted us to ban oil imports from Russia anyway.
Dude,
the Republicans that are complaining about this and using it as a political message against Joe Biden are the ones that wanted us to ban it anyways.
Oh my God, I know. I was talking to this one fucking dude over the weekend, right? And I mean, to be fair to this guy, I'm sure he was drunk off his ass. Like, me and my girlfriend were out. We were talking to some people, meeting new people, right? And we're talking like, oh, what's your name? What's your major? This dude asked my girlfriend. She's like, oh, I'm a human resource management major. And this motherfucker butts into the conversation. He goes, human resources? We got a bunch of human resources, but we aren't fucking using them.
That's what you get for being in Florida.
No, literally, that is what I get for being in Florida. He's like, you should know about that, right? Right? And she's in there like, yeah. And then he just starts fucking talking about Russia and Ukraine. Just he just segues right into it. And he's
like, oh, bet.
I'm like, oh my God, I love this. I run the number one geopolitical podcast.
Exactly.
Like, this is my topic, you know? And he just starts talking. He's like, gas is like $9 a gallon, but we're still getting oil from Russia. We're not.
No, we're literally not.
I'm sorry, buddy, but we are just not.
Also, if we were getting oil from Russia, what's causing the increase in prices, big dog?
No, I know. Like, literally, I know.
Like, what do they think? Like, okay, the gas prices initially went up before the Ukraine-Russia conflict because there was a massive supply chain crisis.
Yeah.
Prices for everything went up, right? This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's not as if it's only gas prices going up. It's literally everything. Everything's getting more expensive.
OPEC nations are still being stingy with their oil. Yeah. They're still holding on to it in fear of another fucking supply shock.
Yeah, it's like these things aren't happening on their own. It's not just gas prices going up. It's everything because, again, there was a supply chain crisis that happened as soon as Joe Biden got into office or even kind of before.
Yeah.
And also, it just proves that like we need to transition to clean energy, which brings me into another point, which is that this conflict or this problem with gas prices is literally the GOP's fault. Because if they had allowed the country to transition to more cleaner sources of energy and diminish our reliance on other countries for oil imports, we wouldn't have to worry about gas prices.
Oh my God, I know.
But the GOP causes the problem by not letting us transition to clean energy, and then complains about it when we cut off oil imports from someone who's invading another country.
Like, it's crazy, but then they're like, oh, we just have to let people frack.
Yeah.
Like, we just have to let people frack. Come
but that's
on.
the thing. That's the thing is they're also complaining about the Keystone XL pipeline and Joe Biden canceling new permits to like drill for oil on federal lands. But oil production, domestic oil production in the U.S. is higher now than it was under Donald Trump. They're just making shit up.
Yeah, and they keep saying we need to go back to energy independence. But if you've been a long time listener, you know that energy independence under Trump was not real energy self-sufficiency.
No, it's not.
We were just selling it to other countries and then importing it back in like other weird, more convoluted forms. The oil game is a fucking game. It's weird.
It's just a giant mess. So when you hear Republicans, especially people on Fox News, get on to talk about how this is all Joe Biden's fault, it's not. It's really not.
Shut the fuck up.
Our oil production has only increased. The Keystone XL pipeline was a pipeline.
Yeah.
It was going to transport oil, not
it
get
was
more
not
oil.
Built.
Yeah.
No,
and it
oh my God,
built
that's
either.
another thing that motherfucker brought up. He's like, he's canceling pipelines left and right. And you know me, that's when my ears perked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this motherfucker over here. But luckily, the conversation stopped before I could go in.
Oh, no, not luckily.
But,
unfortunate for you.
But maybe it was fortunate because I was in Florida, so I probably would have got my ass beat.
I was about to say, you could have gotten into a fight. Yeah. But yeah, like they talk about the Keystone XL pipeline that was going to transport oil, not actually create more oil. It was a pipe.
It was going to transport oil from Canada, which is, I guess now, our major who
supplier.
we import the most oil from.
Yeah, so I mean, Keystone Pipeline wasn't actually going to do anything. Oil drilling has gone up since Donald Trump. It's not Joe Biden's fault that gas prices are increasing. And we know that this is just completely dishonest political discourse because they're not actually offering any alternative solutions. Like, they could be offering something productive, like, I don't know, say pass a bill that gives every American like X amount of gas credits or something to get gas for cheaper or whatever.
The only solutions they offer are solutions that are just worse.
Right.
They are just worse for the environment, worse for poor people, worse for literally everybody, worse for anyone who has, a fucking well.
Yeah. Like you got Elon Musk on Twitter saying like, we need to produce more oil and gas here. And bro is literally supposed to be the entrepreneur that is the forefront of electric vehicles and sustainable energy. Yeah. And this dude's out here advocating for more oil production as if our oil production hasn't already gone up. Mm-hmm. Like, it's all psychotic. Like, they're not offering anything constructive. Like, what do they want? Do they want us to invade Russia and seize the oil? Like, is that what they want?
Probably.
Like, it's so nauseating. All of the political discourse just makes me want to cry. And then the last thing I have, at least on gas prices, is like, out of all the things you could like dunk on Joe Biden for, it's gas prices.
Oh my God.
All of the things, like they never actually criticize Biden for all the reasons that he's actually not good.
Maybe gas prices wouldn't be like so bad. Maybe it wouldn't be such a hit to your wallet if you didn't also have crippling student loan payments every month that he promised to maybe get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe these increased gas prices could be a bit more manageable if people were actually making better wages.
Exactly.
If $15 an hour would have actually passed.
Oh my God, maybe it wouldn't have hurt so much if you doubled your fucking wage.
Yeah, or maybe if the child tax credit still existed, families wouldn't be struggling so much, because gas is very important. Like, I don't want to make it seem like we're saying that gas prices are not actually having an impact on people.
Oh yeah, no, it's
an inelastic good, something you always need. You can't just not get around. But the thing is that Republicans aren't actually offering any real critiques or solutions to this issue. They're just saying it's Joe Biden's fault.
The only fucking real critique or solution should be to move towards a renewable future.
Yeah,
that should literally be it. We shouldn't be relying on an archaic finite resource in order to survive, especially in a country where our entire infrastructure is built around cars and thus the consumption of oil and gas.
Here's the thing, is that energy independence and oil consumption cannot go together.
Oh, no.
You can't have both.
No.
Because we're going to always rely, since oil is a non-renewable resource, we're always going to rely on other countries to send oil in. We can never actually be independent. But if you want to diminish our reliance on energy that comes from other countries, we could just produce it here.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember Elizabeth Warren made this argument during her primary in 2020 or 2019.
Radical Warrenism, you know?
But she made the argument, like, if we want to, in a capitalist sense, own the market in sustainable energy, we could literally do it.
Yeah.
We could literally just start revolutionizing the way that we consume energy and being more sustainable and renewable, but we don't do that. Because the same party that is now complaining about gas prices also wants to protect their oil barons that fund them. So something to keep in mind when you hear Republicans talking about this nonsense.
Exactly. And it's like, one more point on that. It's like, even when it comes to renewable energy and the little things that we do now, I wish I could remember the full details of the story, but I just kind of read it in passing throughout the week, and it's came and went through my mind.
Naturally.
You know what I mean? You know how I'd be forgetful and everything. So basically, there was some state somewhere in this country, the United States, who used to have a program to where if your solar panels produced an excess of energy, you would get a tax incentive. Like, you'd get a tax write-off for that energy excess that they could use and distribute elsewhere. They just ended that. They just straight up got rid of it.
Oh, nice.
So they're just getting rid of incentives to go renewable now.
Yeah, and the problem is, like, as leftists, a big problem with the whole conversation around like renewable energy and tax incentives, that kind of stuff, is that all of it still takes place within capitalism. So it's difficult to actually find a solution that we're going to like giving, like, for example, doing like gas credits right now for people so that the crushing weight of gas prices doesn't hurt them so bad is only going to help corporations that are providing gas.
Oh yeah.
Like, it doesn't actually get to the root of the problem. But the thing is that our real role in society right now is just damage reduction.
No, facts.
All we can do.
We'll take the realist perspective when we have to.
Right.
Which you do when you're looking in the short term.
Yeah, exactly. It's not great. Anyway, I think that wraps it up on gas prices. But I have a really good take from our friend Hillary Clinton, friend of the show, Hillary Clinton.
Favorite author, Hillary Clinton.
This is a very small take, but I think it was noteworthy nonetheless. Okay. She tweeted, quote, "If Russian leadership would rather not be accused of committing war crimes, they should stop bombing hospitals." Oh my god. Like, she had to have been memeing, right?
This has to have been a joke. That had to have been a drunk text.
Yeah. She had to have been memeing. No way she's saying, like, oh, well, if you don't want to be accused of war crimes, maybe you shouldn't bomb hospitals.
It's like Obama coming through. If you don't want to be accused of war crimes, maybe you should not bomb a wedding.
Yeah. Multiple times.
That's like Israel saying, if you don't want to be accused of war crimes, you shouldn't bomb an Associated Press building.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I love Hillary Clinton so much.
I know.
I love it when she just posts some cringy shit on the timeline.
So self-aware, you know what I mean?
So self-aware. It had to have been a joke, right? Like, she couldn't have tweeted this in honesty, like thinking that this was like a good take for
Nobody's going to remember that.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers this at all.
Anyway, there's another critique I wanted to cover from leftists, actually, because our hands are bipartisan around here.
Exactly.
We get praised for it. So
Facts,
we gotta continue the tradition. There's been a big critique I've seen from the left that's been like, no one's had any of this energy for Afghanistan or Syria or Iraq, etc.
We do.
When talking about like Ukraine and Russia. Like, yeah, first of all, you're absolutely right. Everyone should be against the U.S. doing imperialism, in Afghanistan, Syria, etc., Iraq, and other countries. And you're right when you say that nobody had this energy against America.
Oh,
that's the thing. Countries should have had this energy against America.
That's right. So we should be speaking out against that while also condemning Russia.
Yeah, and if you want to be consistent, you gotta be anti-Russia in this circumstance. And we've talked about this before too. But like, what's the alternative? Like, what are you advocating for? We do nothing?
Yeah, just let Russia run over Ukraine.
Yeah, like, I know I think there's an extent, or there's a point that we can get to where economic sanctions are doing more harm than they are good. But what is your solution? We just like do absolutely nothing? Like, that can't be the move. You know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. And unfortunately, and I feel like I've seen a lot of leftists unfortunately having this position that like their critiques are coming from a place where, like, in their mind, they're in their ideal world. You know what I mean? But in reality, the circumstance that we have right now is that if we do nothing and Russia just takes Ukraine, Russian imperialism wins out.
Yeah.
If we, like, overreact and, like, take control of the entire situation and the U.S., wins out or Russia gets pushed back, whatever, U.S. imperialism wins. That's not ideal for any leftist.
Oh, no.
And that goes back to what I said before. Like, we deal in damage reduction.
In the short term, yeah. As leftists, we have to operate in, like, damage reduction right now, ultimately, so that we can work towards long-term actual radical change.
Right. Like, being anti-Russia in this situation doesn't make you pro-U.S.
Oh, no.
You can be anti-Russia and anti-imperialism while also recognizing that the United States has done terrible things, but that it should be doing something to help Ukrainian people. Like, I don't know, like, you can debate all day long what exactly that thing should be. Like, we could take in Ukrainian refugees. I think that would be a positive development. We can help them, help like humanitarian aid groups that are in Ukraine. I think that would be a good thing to do. And of course, you can debate as much as you want about what sanctions and what our funding should be used for, but you have to be against Russia.
Oh, yeah. You have to, at the very least, just condemn Russia. Like, that's it. That's it. I can take your take charitably as long as you aren't saying that it's okay what Russia's doing.
Yeah, as long as you're literally not taking on the denazification argument on Russia's behalf. Because I've seen a lot of people like, yeah, well, Russia's wrong, but there's Nazis in Ukraine.
I've also seen a lot of people literally take the blood and soil argument.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, ethnic Russians. Just let them have it then.
Yeah.
Just let them have it.
Come on, dog.
Come on, ethnic Germans.
It's not how it works, big man. Not how it works. Anyway, I think that sums it up on Russia-Ukraine. Oh, I also did see, before I came to record the pod, that an American journalist was killed in Russia. So, or not in Russia, in Ukraine. So that's not good. I don't have the full story in front of me. This happened literally like an hour or 2 or 3 before we started recording. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Maybe y'all won't hear the pod on Wednesday.
Hopefully the pod comes out before nuclear war pops off.
Before the nuclear winter.
And we hope to continue producing episodes after the nuclear winter's kicked off. Anyway, I think that sums it up on Russia and Ukraine. I think it's time to get into some legislation talk.
A bunch of just rapid fire, just new legislation going out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of bad legislation, a little bit of good. We got some good to talk about.
We do, okay.
Lots of bad legislation that's been happening, though. But I think we're going to start off with some like decent stuff.
Okay, all right, let's get into it.
So the House and Senate, with supermajorities, kind of passed a new bill under the radar to fund the federal government through September 30th of this year. So no crisis like we had last time about the U.S. defaulting on their loans and the world economy shattering. That's going to happen some other way, probably with Russia.
But also, like, the world economy will shatter if we don't fund it by this date. But it's okay because we missed the date. But
we can just push it back.
Exactly. As long as we acknowledge it.
But this bill is $1.5 trillion.
Okay.
And it's got a whole lot of provisions. So I'm gonna do some rapid fire here. Half of it is dedicated for military spending. That's $782 billion, with $13.6 billion going towards military and humanitarian aid in Ukraine.
Okay.
And then initially, this is a separate thing, but initially Biden wanted $30 billion to continue the fight against COVID. During debates, the number was like whittled down. Between debates in the Senate and the House, it was whittled down to like $15.6 billion. And then some more progressive House Democrats were like, what the hell? Like, this isn't enough. We need more. People are still fighting the battle against COVID. And then, you know what Nancy Pelosi's big brain move was? She cut it out entirely. That's just like number one political strategy, getting what you want.
Forget about it. Just forget it. And I'm sure she's using this in some wonderful move. It's like, oh, look, GOP, we cut this out, so now you should give us something we want, right?
Yeah.
Right?
No, she's definitely trying to do like I'm sure the rationale behind this is like, we're going to cut it out now so it doesn't slow down the bill, and we'll talk about this later and figure it out. They're not going to figure it out.
And they'll never talk about it later. Oh my God, dude. So, like, just quick aside, like, we'll get into it later, but I was watching Tucker Carlson this week. I tuned in one night to watch an episode of Tucker.
Yeah.
Primetime television. And on every, like, ad break, there's this ad from Kevin McCarthy, and it was like, I want to say a 45-second ad or a minute ad, and the last 15 seconds were just text fire Pelosi to this number to get rid of Pelosi. I swear to God, I'm going to do it now.
It's not.
I swear to God.
I love how, like, what could that possibly be used for? Because it's not how it works.
Oh, it's just donations. Like, okay. I did it. I mean, not gonna lie, I texted fire Pelosi to the number because I wanted to see what it was, and it's like, this wouldn't hurt me. I wouldn't mind if she got fired. But
that'd be crazy.
It just took me to a page where it's like, minimum donation $15. It's like, God damn.
With gas prices this high in this economy, you're crazy.
Inflating those two?
You're crazy. Anyway, another thing in the bill, IRS is getting $12.6 billion in funding, which is the largest increase in funding since 2001.
See, like, I would say that that's a dub, but I just know that they're not going to use it to actually go after the people that they should be going after.
Oh, no.
And they're just going to use it to enforce that new $600 transaction rule.
Yeah, I think the increase was only like a total increase of like 4% funding.
Yeah.
So it's not actually as if they're going to be equipped to really go after rich people. It's certainly going to make it so the IRS isn't like as underwater as they were before. But again, it's like, if we really want to go after rich people, the IRS has to be like very, very well funded.
And it's kind of crazy that a 4% increase in funding is the highest increase in 21 years.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And that's the case of a lot of these programs and like agencies and stuff, because we'll talk about the USPS after this. Okay. But a lot of agencies are getting like record funding now. Like, wow. Compared to like all of their, like the last like 20 years or so. But anyway. The Capitol Police got $600 million. So that's pretty cool.
What?
Which is an $87 million increase.
What?
Yeah. $87 million increase from previous fiscal years. So gotta love that. Just slipping, funding the police under the radar.
Police are the only like people. They're the only group, only organization that can do their job worse, just worse and worse year over year, and still get pay raises. You know what I mean? Like, you could argue the Capitol Police were in fact the worst at their jobs.
Oh, true.
You know,
true. And when Joe Biden in his State of the Union address said that we're going to fund the police, he wasn't lying.
Oh, God, I guess.
Not lying at all. There was some more money for Pell Grants, which was only a $400 additional per person increase.
A textbook. A fucking textbook.
Online homework, maybe.
That'll give me access to my homework.
There's also $1 billion in additional funding for impoverished K-12 schools, which is an increase from $16.5 billion to $17.5 billion.
Okay.
I don't really know what the money's going to be used for. I mean, an extra billion is quite a bit, but
is it quite a bit?
Already underfunded.
Dispersed to so many of these different schools.
Right. There's also some investments in medical research, infrastructure, child nutrition programs, election security, and cybersecurity. And it also renewed the Violence Against Women Act. So, all in all, I guess that's my response.
Right.
That's my response. The bill in totality is sure.
Okay, yeah.
We'll take it, I guess. The next piece of legislation, though, is the Postal Service Reform Act, actually sent to us from loyal patron Chris the Postman.
Shout out Chris the Postman.
He let me know about it before anybody else, and then I saw it on the news and read through it. So shout out to you.
Oh my goodness.
Shout out to you. You beat the news to my eyes. Anyway, led by our very own Senator Gary Peters.
Okay.
In Michigan. The bill seeks to fund the USPS a little bit more, which has been losing money for a long time, especially under Trump's Postmaster General. But the bill passed with large bipartisan support in each chamber. In total, the bill is $106 billion, but it lifts a lot of the financial burden off of the Postal Service.
Nice.
Because previously, the USPS had to fund its retirees' benefits before they retired. I can't remember how long it was in advance, but it made them pre-fund their retirees' health care. And now, instead, they just enroll in Medicare. Which doesn't actually add that much of a burden to the system as well.
Another step towards Medicare for all.
Medicare supremacy.
Little by little.
Yeah, Medicare supremacy, absolutely.
Let's go.
It also adds some oversight and reporting requirements to the USPS so the agency is a little bit more transparent with Congress. Mm-hmm. And overall, bill is pretty good. But the one thing that ruined it and makes me want the bill to fail is Chuck Schumer said, quote, "The post office usually delivers for us today, but today we're going to deliver for them."
Guys, DM Fire Schumer to head in the office on Instagram or Twitter.
He's such a cornball. He said the post office usually delivers for us, but today we're going to deliver for them.
Shut the fuck
what
up.
A cornball.
I was just about to say, I fuck with USPS. Their flat rate shipping is fire. I always use it whenever I can because it's just easier. And I was about to be I wish it was just USPS instead of FedEx and UPS. Because I don't see why there's a need for competition with this when we could just have one national service that's well funded and can do its job well. Because despite the USPS being so shittily funded, it's fire. Yeah, I fuck with the Postal Service.
Yeah, and apparently there's gonna be upgrades to their online and digital systems and stuff like that. So that'll be pretty good. And also, I feel when I think of a civilized society, I do think postage is one of the most important things. Being able to send shit.
Oh yeah, especially in a fucking globally integrated society.
Right, a hallmark of a civilized society that is progressed is something like the Postal Service, and it definitely needs to be funded more. And at this point, just nationalize USPS or nationalize the UPS and FedEx at this point. Just integrate it into the USPS system.
But literally though, I don't understand why they're competing like this. It's not driving prices down. Prices always fucking go up.
Mm-hmm. Packaging, shipping and handling, still expensive. What's the? I feel anyway. That sums it up on the USPS bill. Chuck Schumer needs to never talk again, and hopefully that's a little bit of good news for you. Congress did a good thing.
That's a little bit of a buffer between the bad Russia takes and the really bad legislation here at home.
So speaking of bad legislation,
okay,
the Don't Say Gay bill, which is actually called the Parental Rights and Education bill. We've talked about it before.
They literally just put parents' rights in every single fucking bill. Oh my god.
Yeah, but we've talked about this bill before. The Florida bill that bans discussions of sexual orientation in K through 3 classrooms. And it also says that any content deemed not age appropriate for any grade cannot be taught in classrooms. That has to do with sexuality and stuff like that. This bill just passed in both chambers of the Florida legislature. And it's going to Ron DeSantis' desk, which it will probably be signed at. So that's really exciting. But the puzzling part about this bill, especially that we've already talked about, is that kids don't learn about sexual orientation in K through 3.
No, literally
They don't.
It may be a passing mention of if one boy is like, oh, I want to marry this other guy. Like, you know how kids are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a teacher's like, oh, like, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Right. And, like, the only reason that this could be, quote-unquote, necessary for conservatives is just to shame LGBTQ kids.
Oh, that's it.
Like, just to force them to conform. But, you know, the party of freedom, of course. The party of freedom. Yeah. Gotta love that. And, like I said, the bill recently just passed. It has vague language. We've talked about it. But the vague language is purposeful. It's meant to be able to be used to damage minority groups.
I know I think DeSantis' like press secretary or somebody like related to DeSantis came on and they did a statement that was like, if you're opposed to this bill, you're a fucking pedophile groomer.
Oh, I know Ron DeSantis has been going snowflake triggered mode.
Really?
Over this bill, yeah, because everyone's calling it the Don't Say Gay bill.
Ron DeSantis, Tucker Carlson, and Matt Walsh, as we'll get into in a short while, have been very triggered about this bill.
They've been going triggered mode because I saw Ron DeSantis was like on some talk show or on the news or whatever. And he was like, "Tell me where it says Don't Say Gay. Tell me where. Tell me where. It doesn't say it anywhere in this bill."
That's the same fucking because I tuned into Tucker to watch his segment on this bill, right?
Yeah.
And he was so fucking fuming. He opens it up with, "The Democrats are fucking lying to you. They are literally lying to you. They're telling you this is the Don't Say Gay bill, but in the legislation, nowhere does it say Don't Say Gay. It says that you can't talk about sexual orientation. That's what it says. The Democrats lie to you."
That's what the complaint is. That's quite literally the complaint.
You can't talk about sexual orientation. You can't say gay. Functionally the same fucking thing. Tucker just has such a command over the English language. Oh my god.
What a wordsmith.
Literally.
Like, there's no reason for this bill though. Like, okay, what if a kid has like gay parents? Is he not allowed to say like, yeah, like my dad's or my mom's?
No, like what if it's an assignment where it's like, all right, draw your family, and some kid draws two fucking dads. Mm-hmm. What do the teachers do about that?
Yeah, or like what if even like young students themselves may not understand it fully yet, but feel like they are gay? Like there's people that you can ask, and they're like, you can ask their story, and they'll be like, yeah, I knew I was gay in like first grade. Like I understood that about myself.
Most people fucking know when they're very young.
But this bill would make it so those kids are made to feel as if that's not okay, or made to feel as if they need to conform to everybody else. There's no reason for this at all. Like, why is it the school's prerogative to push this kind of thing? Mm-hmm. When I thought conservatives wanted small government, but instead they're going to use the educational apparatus of the state to dominate children and basically force them to conform to their heteronormative standards that they want in society. Ridiculous.
Not very pro-life of them at all.
Not very pro-life, not very pro-freedom, not very family values.
Oh, no.
Just like, it's very pro I hate gay people is what it is.
It's fact. Speaking of people who fucking hate gay people, I just want to read this transcript from Tucker Carlson's interview with Matt Walsh, right? No. So, starting with Tucker, he says, "You hate to say this is happening, but it is. Physicians all over the country are violating the most elemental medical ethics by prescribing puberty blockers and hormone treatments to minors. Long-term effects totally unknown. These are life-altering procedures
no, they're not.
That are given to children below the age of consent." As if he really cares about that one. Shout out Matt Gaetz.
Wait, so that was Matt Gaetz saying that?
No. But age of consent.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You know. "It is totally immoral. It should be illegal. In many cases, kids are pressured into these procedures by the people in charge. And that means teachers and administrators in school, therapists and nurses, and then doctors."
Oh my fucking god, dog.
There is no fucking school nurse or therapist that is sitting there with a kid like, you need to fucking transition. Mm-mm. You need to go on puberty blockers right now, you little boy. It doesn't happen. They're just making up a fucking issue. They're making up all of these fucking issues just to make LGBTQ's youth life harder.
Yeah. No, and like those procedures, which they aren't even procedures, they're, like you said, just hormone blockers, are easily reversible. Mm-hmm. That's the point. Mm-hmm. Is that because they're done on kids, no like body altering surgery or procedure is going to be done because it's a child.
Yeah.
So they give them hormone blockers, which can easily be undone later on in life if they so choose.
It's crazy how they just don't fucking understand how hormones work. It's like they don't even know what the fuck it is.
Also, how can they simultaneously say they're advocating for parental rights, but then have the state come in and tell the parent what to do with the child?
Oh, because we're your elected officials, so we speak for literally all of you.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is,
and we can do whatever we want.
They're not advocating for parental rights. They're advocating for the state to control your child. Is what they want.
Mm-hmm. So then Tucker goes to say, You shouldn't be talking to kindergartners about gender identity, especially if you're not their parents. That's creepy. You should be arrested for that. In fact, you talk to a normal person's kid.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
That's crazy. You talk to a normal person's kid about sex in kindergarten. You get beaten up. You should be beaten up. Please.
What the fuck? This is the same shit like back in the 60s. It's like, you shouldn't be telling your kids about black people.
Yeah.
You should not be telling them about the things that they would have went through back in the day. You should not be telling them that black kids should be integrated with our schools.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So then, friend of the show, Matt Walsh, comes on, and he says, look, there's a reason why Democrats are treating this bill like it's the apocalypse. All we're telling them is you can't groom young children. And to them, it's Armageddon. And that's because they know they have to indoctrinate the kids into this madness very, very young. They have to get to them very, very young, because if you wait until people are a little bit older, they're going to know that it's insane. And so that's their entire worldview, kind of hinges on being able to get kids really young and in Florida. They're going to hopefully stop that from happening.
Oh my God, dog. I love how they can just say that the other side is doing the indoctrination when they themselves are doing the indoctrination.
It's almost, I just love how conservatives always invoke indoctrination to talk about anything. Because the word has completely lost meaning.
Yeah.
You are indoctrinated by virtue of living in a society. You are indoctrinated into the societal norms of wherever the fuck you are. It is just a thing. It is a fact of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. What's the difference between being taught something and being indoctrinated to
What's the
believe
difference between heteronormativity and just being okay with gay people? Like, indoctrination-wise. You know what I mean? You are indoctrinated into heteronormativity. It's fucking wild.
Well, to them, that's the natural order of things.
So true.
Because man and woman, that's just what's natural. But like man and man, that's not natural. Woman and woman, that's not natural.
Because God created the earth in 1908 when God created the earth in 1776 when America was founded. Yeah. And there were absolutely no gay people in history before then, because there wasn't history before then.
There's never been gay people. There's never been bi people. No one's ever been trans throughout history.
Yeah.
Historically, the Roman legion, all straight men.
All straight men.
Every single one.
Oh, yeah. Historically, Greeks, they're all fucking straight.
All of the Greeks, all
super
very
straight, in fact.
Every man in the Navy, 100% straight. None of them ever LGBTQ. Gay people don't exist.
No, so then
and children definitely shouldn't think gay people exist.
Fuck yeah,
because what if they grow up and want to be gay? That's unacceptable to them.
No, thank you. No, thank
unacceptable.
You. Speaking of that being unacceptable, you want to know like the extent of what Tucker Carlson believes about this?
Okay.
The number one public intellectual, Tucker Carlson. You can't commit sexual abuse against my kindergartner. And that's what this is. It's sexual abuse. You're not allowed to commit it. And if you do, there are consequences. There should be real consequences, like for real, I think. But anyway, Matt Walsh, great to see you. Thank you.
Oh my God, they had this dude come on for like 30 seconds just to spit the most anti-LGBTQ shit possible. And then for Tucker to call it sexual abuse to tell a kid that gay people exist.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro. The framing is so just out of pocket.
It is never great to see Matt Walsh. I promise. I promise.
The framing here, and I know maybe this word's overused on the pod, but it's putrid framing.
It's very putrid. It's
bad.
Very...
It's bad. God damn it. The Democrats are so bad.
Speaking of Democrats being bad, the clip, like the Tucker clip opened up and it's like, that's what hooked me. The hook was him showing this clip of Florida, like state representatives going through a school and just going, gay, gay, gay.
God damn it.
The corniest shit you've ever seen, dude. And he's like, oh, really? But it doesn't say you can't say gay.
Bro, I don't understand why they think like, well, I mean, I guess I do understand that they think it's just natural to assume that everybody is straight, but it's the same thing. Like they're saying that a bunch of teachers are going to assume that children are just gay or tell them that they need to be gay. You're doing the same thing when you just assume a child is straight.
Exactly.
There's no fucking difference.
Exactly.
Like maybe they're the fucking weird ones for constantly wanting kids to be straight and for wanting little boys to like little girls. Like maybe just treat them as fucking children.
Yeah, no, maybe it's kind of weird how obsessed you are with making sure that little boys like little girls. Maybe that's the weird groomy part of all this.
Yeah.
Instead of them just, letting them do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, you're just so fucking obsessed with ensuring that little boys like little girls. Like, that's weird, dog. You're weird.
You will go to the ends of the fucking earth to make sure that when this little boy grows up, he will be fucking girls.
I guarantee you cannot find one teacher within the entire state of Florida that is forcing, like, a young boy to be gay.
Oh my god, I know. Especially in Florida.
Especially in Florida. Like, okay, I'm sure you could find some, like, Hinge examples of some, like, psychotic teachers trying to force things on a student.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure you can find some fucking private school teacher in California.
Oh, of course.
Or someplace.
In a country of millions of people, of course.
Yeah.
Like, it just, like, statistically, you can find someone. But
if you
on
can
the
find
whole,
Tucker.
Like, yeah, 99% of people, 99% of teachers are not forcing their kids to be gay, forcing their students to be gay. I guarantee that teachers aren't even talking about sexual orientation in K through 3. No. They just want to make it so LGBTQ kids can't express themselves and the teachers can't help the students. Oh my god.
Love it.
They hate kids. They hate children. Not the family of not the party of family values.
Not at all.
Anyway, getting into another Florida bill.
Okay.
Another really good Florida bill is called the Individual Freedom Bill.
I love it.
And it bans private businesses and schools from teaching that one race, sex, or other group is privileged over the other. And you know the thing that caught my eye was not that it's schools, but private businesses. Because I thought...
the Coke training thing can't happen in Florida.
thought that conservatives were all about private businesses being able to do whatever they want. Free market.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Very free market of them. That's not very deregulate of you.
So the bill is also known as the Stop Woke Act. But woke is like an acronym for something.
Of course it is.
I don't know what it is, but Stop Woke. The first half of the bill, I literally read the text of the bill for this section of it.
I'm doing real research shit.
I'm committed. So the first half of the bill is literally just culture war shit. It's like, you can't teach that one race is inherently racist, something that nobody believes.
Yeah.
Or you can't, like, say that one race bears responsibility for the actions committed by those of their same race in the past. It's like, nobody actually believes that.
Yeah, no.
And, like, it's shit that nobody believes. Like, things that have been dispelled hundreds of times by people like us. But there's a few insane provisions here. And keep in mind that each of these things are, like, prohibited. So the things I'm going to read is, like, things you cannot do.
What are, like, the consequences if you do them?
I'm not sure.
Is it not outlined?
Exactly.
Okay.
But the first one is, quote, you cannot teach that an individual's moral character or status as either privileged or oppressed is necessarily determined by his race, color, sex, or national origin. Which is psychotic because it's mathematically true.
No,
that if
literally,
you are born as a black person, you are more likely to be oppressed, or you just are more oppressed in society. Like, it's not a matter of us, like, trying to paint, like, an oppressed versus oppressor dichotomy onto society that already exists. Like, it's statistically true. You're more likely to be discriminated against if you are a black person.
Yeah, you are more likely to be born poor. You're literally, oh my fucking god, dude.
Like, there are structural barriers for black people in society, a number of them, for all kinds of reasons, because of, slavery, Jim Crow, black code laws, redlining, etc.
Yeah.
All these kinds of things that have happened throughout history that have prevented black people from being able to achieve at the same level as white people. And saying that you can't teach one group is inherently oppressed because of another group, it's insane.
And it's just the fact that one group, the white people, do not have to ever worry about police brutality, realistically, really racially motivated police brutality, because police brutality does happen against white people. Like, it just does. The police fucking suck all around.
Right.
But it's a privilege. You do not have to worry about being discriminated because of your African-sounding name. You don't have to be worried about being discriminated because of an Asian, a Chinese-sounding name. You don't have to worry about any of that as white people, and that is a privilege in of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's another one. You can't teach that an individual should feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress on account of his or her race, color, sex, or national origin. Which this one's funny.
The white guilt law.
Yeah. Like, this is funny just because it's like, you can't make white people feel bad. You can't make white people feel bad for historical injustices.
That's so vague. It's like, what happens if I go to school and I'm like, I don't like learning about slavery. It makes me feel bad. Can you not teach about slavery anymore? Can you not do any of that anymore? Oh my goodness.
Kind of crazy. Another one says, you can't teach that such virtues as merit, excellence, hard work, fairness, neutrality, objectivity, and racial colorblindness are racist or sexist, or were created by members of a particular race, color, sex, or national origin to oppress members of another race, color, sex, or national origin.
Ayo, wait a minute. Let's zoom out and zoom back in.
Okay.
Excellence?
Excellence. Excellence. Just got some Nazi shit baked into here.
Wow.
But it's basically saying you can't say that things like merit or hard work or neutrality are social concepts created by one group to perpetuate the oppression of the other, which is just fundamentally true. Like, that is absolutely what's happened. Like, our concept of work ethic or our concept of fairness is skewed to support the white people in society, or the advantaged, the privileged white people in society. It's just true.
Oh my
God,
statistically. Yeah, they take a Social 101 class.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally all you have to do.
Right. Like, if you have a basis for hard work in society, and then you say, unless you meet this level, this threshold of hard work, then you're not working hard enough. That is going to advantage people that already have a head start, like white people have in society. Like, if we're about to start a race, right? And then I shot you in the leg and took off. And I'm like, catch up. I have an advantage, a structural advantage over you, because I changed the rules of the race by shooting you in the leg.
And it's like, we already touched on this in the cold open, but hard work is such a fucking arbitrary measure. Like, just work harder. That's arbitrary. What do you fucking mean? What does that mean? What is hard work?
Yeah. Or objectivity. We kind of, we've talked about this a little bit before, but like, objectivity, of course, is very important. Yeah. But it can be skewed when your objective measures benefit one group over the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially objectivity. Something can be objectively true with cherry-picked statistics.
Right, like 1350, for example.
It depends on the context.
Right, like if you say, like, well, black people make up 13% of the population but commit 50% of the crime. Objectively true, but it completely obfuscates the reasons that thing is happening.
And you're just, ignoring that they make up most exonerations. Yes. A disproportionate amount of exonerations for crimes, a disproportionate amount of wrongful arrests.
And they've also just been historically discriminated against. And of course, poverty or crime is motivated by poverty. So if you're more impoverished on average, then you're going to be committing more crimes than other races on average. Yeah. Like, there's all kinds of socioeconomic factors that play into this that are completely obfuscated when you're like, well, the objective thing says that black people are more violent. Because that's what these words are used for. Yeah. Like, they're able to bastardize things like objectivity, which are very important when it comes to social sciences, to their own benefit. And that's exactly, like, they're codifying this into law. Yeah. So that's fun.
The fucking white guilt law, the white supremacy isn't racist law. White excellence, baby. Let's go.
Or just the racial colorblindness. Like, you can't teach that is built to be, like, racist. It's kind of just fucking insane.
It's really elementary to understand that colorblind policies are fucking bad. Yeah. Like, it is like anti-racist 101, literally.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that a couple episodes ago, but it's just like, you can't set one threshold for success and then say, well, if you don't meet this, you suck. And then one group is systemically held back to another. Like, come on now. Racial colorblindness, bad. And if I was in Florida, I would be, I don't know what they would do, put me in jail or whatever for it. Take away my teaching license, I don't know.
Yeah, facts, something like that.
Something like that. But I really love how in this bill, they act like they're the party fighting for racial justice. They act like they're the ones fighting to, like, make things equal in society, while they're embracing the strategies that put us in this place to begin with. Like, embracing colorblindness, or saying, like, well, we're being neutral, and that means, like, if you're not working hard enough, then you just don't get to get into college or something like that. Like, that is the reason that we need things like affirmative action. Yeah. Because somewhere in the bill, they basically say, like, you can't adopt policies that would, like, disproportionately advantage one group over another, which on its face, again, objectively seems okay. Yeah. But when you realize that the playing field isn't equal, you understand that, like, well, these policies are going to disproportionately hurt one group over the other.
And it's like, also, you have to look at that in the lens of, like, disproportionately benefit one group over another. Okay, we live in, like, I don't know the fucking academic term for this. There's more white people in the country. Like, a white normative society, right? White people are just strictly advantaged over other people. Yeah. You can look at it. We are overrepresented in everything. Is this Florida bill going to combat that? Yeah. Or is it just going to combat the one instance where a college has more Asian people? Yeah. Is just going to combat the one instance where a college may have 16% black people.
And it's, we're zooming in on race here, but it also includes sex. Like, they dropped this shit on, like, close to International Women's Day. When women have been the group that white women specifically, have been the group that have benefited the most from affirmative action policies. Like, what is that message sending? What message are you sending to women? Like, oh, you have been historically held back because you have been deemed lesser than men, less capable than men. Society has accepted that you're just going to receive more harassment than men and be held back at larger rates than men are. But if you want to get into college, just fuck you. Like, you don't deserve that. Like, it's ridiculous.
No, literally.
It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand. It's psychotic. You shouldn't support this. Shouldn't support this.
Yeah, guys, say no.
Yeah, exactly. I really do love how they can act like they're fighting for equality when they're just protecting the privileged groups. Like, that's all this bill does. It's the white supremacy bill. Like,
I love it. I love it when conservatives just lie.
Yeah,
just lie.
It's the white supremacy and education bill. It's the individual freedom bill, except not freedom for anyone, except white people.
It's the individual freedom for me to wear a white excellency shirt to school while I teach my class.
Individual freedom, except for Black Americans that have been historically held back. I don't care about your individual
but also
freedom.
individual freedom except for gay kids.
Yeah. Oh, true.
Yeah.
True. And then another Florida bill.
God damn.
Florida's been popping off. They passed a bill last week that the legislature passed a bill last week that approved the official creation of the Office of Elections Crimes, which includes 25 staffers, 10 of which are police officers. They've created the election Gestapo, people.
No,
it's literally 1985. George Orwell. We're gonna die. Like, it's dictatorship of the white people.
We're gonna go to the animal farm.
The Animal Farm. George Orwell, 1985. So the bill passed. I think it was like last week or something. Mm-hmm. Even though Ron DeSantis said that there was no need to recount ballots in Florida, that they passed with flying colors. It was a secure election.
Yeah.
So what's the point of this? What's the point of doing this? There's no reason to pass a bill like this if there was no election fraud in Florida, right?
Right.
Unless we need to recount the results in Florida.
Unless Ron DeSantis is up for re-election soon.
True.
Oh.
True. The bill also makes it just like harder to vote in general.
I love that.
And there's one specific provision that makes it a felony to deliver more than 2 absentee ballots for other people.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Which is kind of crazy because if that got implemented here, I'd end up being a felon. Like,
yeah,
because I've delivered
facts.
absentee ballots for people. I've had my family deliver my absentee ballot to the clerk before.
It's like, okay, if you have a family of more than 2 people of voting age, you take separate cars, guys.
Right.
You gotta go. You gotta get a group together, and you all have to go deliver these ballots.
No, it's literally just like the Stop Black People from Voting Act.
Yeah, it's
like,
to stop anyone living in a multi-generational house from Voting Act.
Because if you got more than 2 people above voting age, they all got to go and do it themselves.
Stop any family that isn't a nuclear family from Voting Act. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that sums it up for my little section on Florida's bills.
Okay.
I heard you got a crazy bill, though.
We can switch gears to a quick little Missouri abortion bill.
Okay.
So if you remember the Texas abortion bill and think that was bad, which you should, it's very bad.
Pretty bad.
You better get ready for this one. You better
Buckle
maybe sit down. Don't drink any water while you're listening to this segment because this shit is fucking crazy.
Okay,
right?
okay.
So Missouri House Bill 2810, proposed by Representative Brian Seitz, not only bans abortions after 10 weeks of pregnancy, it also makes it a crime punishable by up to 30 years in prison to terminate an ectopic pregnancy. Do you know what that is? You know what an ectopic pregnancy is?
The egg is like fertilized outside of the whatever. I'm not a scientist.
So basically, when, a cream pie happens.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And the little swimmers get to fertilize the egg. The egg turns into an embryo. That embryo is supposed to implant a uterus where the baby... Sorry.
It's staying there.
Where the baby grows, right?
Yeah.
Right? An ectopic pregnancy is when the embryo is implanted anywhere but the fucking uterus.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right? It is very bad. It doesn't take a fucking academic to understand that could be bad. You don't have to be smart, but you have to be smarter than a Republican Missouri representative. You know what I mean?
Name Brian
to
Seitz.
Get that. Name Brian Seitz to get that. This is a bad thing. Because when an ectopic pregnancy happens, they usually happen in the fallopian tubes. They can rupture wherever the fuck they are and cause massive internal bleeding.
Isn't this kind of common too? It's
1
to
really
2 uncommon.
1 to 2% of pregnancies in the U.S. are ectopic. How the fuck you say the word ectopic? And ectopic pregnancy deaths account for 2.7% of all pregnancy-related deaths.
Oh.
Because they can be fatal.
Yeah.
Another crazy thing about ectopic pregnancies, they are always non-viable. The baby will never survive.
I see.
It cannot grow outside of the room, right? The only thing at risk during an abortion for an ectopic pregnancy is literally nothing because it's just a medical procedure.
Yeah.
That's it. It is to save the mother. Because without it, the mother will literally rupture one of her organs and could die of internal bleeding. There are no bad things that can happen. The baby is going to die no matter what. And this dude wants to outlaw that.
Oh my God, bro. This is just the logical conclusion of them going so far in their other bills to ban abortion throughout the rest of the country Like this is the logical conclusion. Like, how far are you going to allow the state to control the body of a woman?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of psychotic. All these bills dropping around International Women's
I wouldn't be surprised if this dropped on International Women's Day.
It's
with
Women's
the way
History
this motherfucker
Month,
is psychotic.
It's Women's History Month, and they're just dropping all of these anti-women bills.
He's trying to make a life-saving medical procedure a Class A felony.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
What the actual fuck? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it went into painstaking detail to also criminalize treating ectopic pregnancies in trafficking victims.
Why?
Literally, why?
Oh my God.
What the fuck is the point of putting that in there? Bro, you just hate women. You just want to fucking kill women.
Oh my God. Like, it's just the I hate women bill. It's just the I hate women bill.
Let's even put this in conservative terms.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So now that you know that an ectopic pregnancy can be very fatal, it's strictly a bad fucking thing for the mother. The baby will never live. Isn't this just self-defense?
Yeah.
Where's your castle doctrine now?
Yeah.
Where's your fucking castle doctrine now? But the difference here is that while the castle doctrine says you can defend yourself with lethal force in your car, your business, or your home, no mention of a woman's body, because in the conservatives' mind, that shit is not their own.
Yeah.
They want the state, basically, to have ownership and dictate whatever the fuck they can do with their body, but not a private business.
No.
We love capitalism over here, fellas.
Well, right. Private businesses are very important. Like, being able to own property, that's freedom.
Exactly.
But a woman's body is just property of the state, apparently.
Facts. A woman, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want with your business, but you cannot do what you want with your body. That is, in fact, not your business. You know what I mean?
I mean, this is just like, it's absurd. Something that's, I mean, it's a death sentence for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's saying, like, if you do this, then you're gonna go to jail. But if you don't do this, you're probably gonna like have something fatal happen to you. You're gonna die.
30 years in prison, or maybe just fucking die.
Like, but this isn't violence on behalf of the state or anything like that.
Yeah, like do women just have to sit there and fucking wait until their fallopian tubes rupture to go to the hospital to get treatment for this? What's the fucking deal?
Like I said, this is the logical end. This is the downstream effect of what conservatives have been doing for the last, I mean, probably like 50 years, ever since Roe v. Wade, so even since before Roe v. Wade, but especially recently, the lengths that they have gone to make it impossible to get an abortion. This is what you arrive at.
Yeah, the logical end is just murdering women.
Like, their personhood argument, this is the logical extension. Like, any kind of fertilized egg is now a person.
Yeah.
And if it's a person, then that means you can allow a woman to die to get that person to be born, even if that person will die anyways.
No, yeah, the thing is that person literally cannot even be born here. It does not fucking matter. There is no fucking logic behind this. It is pure culture war bullshit.
Yeah.
But this culture war bullshit is actually just strictly, directly gonna kill people.
Yeah, has physical implications on the lives
fucking
of people.
Insane.
Yeah.
And more broadly in this bill, it also makes it a Class B felony to produce, sell, purchase, or use any medical device or drugs that are for abortions, and Class B felonies carry a sentence of up to 15 years in prison.
Holy shit.
So they saw Texas's $10,000 fine and said, nah,
15 years of hard time.
15 years, 30 years if you don't want to die.
So Plan B is not going to be operating in Missouri anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Plan B fits into it all. I think it's like a weird gray area. I think it's like, it's not necessarily an abortion pill, but like, I wouldn't be fucking surprised.
I mean, but again, this kind of logic will just eventually lead them to like outlawing, I don't know, for various forms of birth control, outlawing just the act of sex in general.
Yeah,
unless you intend to
a condom
produce.
is a form of birth control.
Right.
God should decide whether or not you get pregnant.
Well, that's for a man. They'll be fine if it's something that's used on a man.
Oh, so true.
They'll be okay with that.
What is it? Vaginal dams. Those are now outlawed. God should decide. That's right.
Yeah, actually, menstrual products are now outlawed. You can't use those anymore.
Facts. Actually, guys, condoms are outlawed because like I can't feel it. You know.
Stop.
I just can't use it because like I can't feel it, you know. But
bro, we're going backwards. We're literally going. We're about to be in a nuclear war, and we're going backwards.
I know. Maybe the nukes won't be so bad.
Holy shit!
At this point, but that's not the only fucking bill. A few days before that, what the fuck is it? Representative Mary Elizabeth Coleman proposed a bill to make it illegal for Missouri residents to get abortions outside of the state.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
And get this, there's only one abortion clinic in Missouri.
Bro, you can't.
The whole state has one abortion clinic, and she wants it to be illegal to go out of the state to get an abortion.
Missouri's about to be the largest open-air prison in the world.
No, literally. Like, what the fuck? What makes you think you can do that? You're restricting travel. Like, no, you can't do that.
I don't think that's constitutional. I don't think she can do that. Like, I want to say, I don't think the government can, like, regulate commerce like that.
I don't know.
Like, if you want to consider it to be commerce, but like that's so Jesus Christ. Like, you can't leave to buy something.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Talk about state overreach. Big state authority just breathing down the neck of every woman in the state.
Facts.
Oh my God.
Facts. I just think it's insane. Just imagine you get pregnant, right? 1 to 2%, it's ectopic. You're gonna fucking maybe die. You are gonna get hurt very bad regardless, because now it's fucking illegal. You don't want to go to jail for 30 years. You're like, okay, let me just go to the next fucking flyover state over and go get an abortion in the 2 abortion clinics in a neighboring state, right?
God.
Now I can't.
It's like they saw how the Texas law turned out and how a lot of people just left the state to get abortions. They're like, we are going to make it as hard as fucking possible for you to have any amount of control over your body. Because you just happen to be born as a woman. You just happen to identify as a woman who tried to get pregnant or didn't try to get pregnant. And now you have an ectopic pregnancy. And we just want you to suffer.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all
facts.
it is.
You have to sit here and wait until your fucking fallopian tubes rupture, or if it gets planted in your abdomen until you fucking die.
It defies all reason, because it's like we've made medical advancements over the last several decades, over the last several centuries, to make it so childbirth is easier. And if the childbirth isn't going to work out, that the woman isn't harmed too much.
Yeah.
But now we're just going backwards.
Like, especially, like, there's a huge focus on measuring a nation by their maternal mortality rate.
Yeah.
And we're legislating an increase. You know what I mean?
We're just building it into the system, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully that wasn't too crazy of an end for y'all. If any of you happen to be a female listener and live in Missouri, I am so fucking sorry.
Good luck.
Please stay safe.
That's so crazy, dog. They're literally saying, they looked at our numbers of mortality rates for women giving birth. They're like, we need to get those up.
You can pump this shit up right now.
Pump those numbers up.
Oh my God.
Pump those numbers up. And not even to mention that this kind of legislation is going to hurt women of color the most, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
Because, I mean, black women already die more often in childbirth. I think it's like 3 times more often they have complications in childbirth when compared to white women. And this kind of law is just going to make it infinitely harder on black women.
It's like, dog, 1 to 2 pregnancies? That's a lot.
Yes.
That is a lot of pregnancies. People be fucking.
Yeah. 1 to 2 pregnancies out of every 100, that's quite a bit.
That's people be fucking. I can tell you that. Like,
that's a lot of women that are going to have to just like suffer in Missouri
just
now.
sit there, just watch their tubes fucking explode inside of them.
I don't know how many people live in Missouri. Ballpark like 1 million maybe? Like if there's like 1 million people, that's a lot of people, dog.
Maybe like 30.
At least.
Like 30 is Missouri, let's be real.
At least. But like over the course of a year, that's still a lot of fallopian tubes.
That's facts. That's
a lot. You should be against that. We're giving you the takes.
You know how the Violence Against Women Act just got renewed? This is what they were talking about.
Yeah.
This is the Violence Against Women Act.
Oh my God. Gotta hate to see that.
For real.
Absolutely hate to see that.
But you know what we love to see? Our patrons every single week.
Our patrons.
Let's go.
We absolutely love you guys. And before we close out the episode, as we always do, it's time to give a special thanks.
That's right.
So let's give a special thanks to Cricket Scrapbook Layouts, Nikki 9 Lives, Caden Kraut, Terrence Nicholson, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Thalia Katz, 40% Spite, Omar Zuno, Mike Chaplinsky, Mattias T, John G, The B-Plot, Clayton LaFour, Ash Flairblood, Mark Yeager, Sarah McRoberts, Derek Messina, and my mom.
Let's go.
Thank you all for supporting the show on Patreon. If you all want to have your name shouted out again amongst that elite group of people.
That's right.
If you want to have early access to the episodes.
3 days early,
access
Sundays.
to our exclusive content coming soon.
Facts.
Become a patron. Become a patron.
Maybe a bonus episode coming up soon. Maybe I got something cooking.
Yeah.
Maybe I got a little film analysis cooking up for y'all.
Become a patron, and then you can also join the militia we're forming against the Missouri government.
Facts. Yeah.
We're planning to invade, actually.
You can join the small army of Head in the Office listeners.
Yes. We're planning to invade Missouri to stop this legislation from going through. So you can join the Patreon and check it out.
Exactly.
Paid entry.
With that, have a great week, everybody.
Bye, everyone.